What's up, football heads? I am Kyle. He is Cesar. This is NOOB Football Picks. We're late this week, but it's before the games,
It's
so it
NFL
counts.
Sunday, baby.
And I think 3 Thursdays in a row, I think we were both on the same team. I assume we both picked the Bills.
Oh
I
yeah, of
was on the
course.
Bills. So
I mean, who would have thought that the Dolphins would actually put up a fight on Thursday night? But the Bills obviously were going to win that game. I feel bad for
yeah,
Tua. He had a great game until that last fourth quarter where he got that intersection. As soon as that happened, bam, it's game over. Like they couldn't come back from that. So, sorry, Dolphins fans, but it happens. It's Bills.
he's
Josh Allen's
washed.
on the tandem. He's running wild. He's hey, Buffalo, all that nonsense, and Buffalo wings. Shout out to Tanner. Um, but yeah, everybody picked the Bills. I don't even think that Miami Dolphins fans picked the Dolphins.
I mean, Tua made some comments earlier in the week about like just straight up saying yeah, they have a better quarterback. It's like, we know, but you don't need to, you don't say the quiet part out loud. You don't need to say that publicly.
CTE is a hell of a thing.
Jerry Uso, man, he's just
No yeet.
he's cooked. He is cooked.
Feel bad for the kid.
Yeah.
I feel bad for myself saying I feel bad for the kid when I'm watching it on TV and he's younger than me and I'm just thinking, 30-something year. How old am I? 34? Yeah, I'm 34. And he's like, what, 21, 26?
Yeah, we're at that point where it's the whole J.J. McCarthy thing in week one where they're showing the picture of him at his first game in 2007. He's like this little 4-year-old kid. And I'm like, I was a senior in high school. I was not prepared. That's why I love Aaron Rodgers, because I'm like, he's older than me. Aaron Rodgers, Matt Prater, and like two other people, Calais Campbell. There's like 4 guys where it's
Russell Wilson.
They were drafted when I was in high school. They make me feel like I'm not just an old crusty man complaining
How old is
about
Russell
how
Wilson?
football used to be. I don't know how many years did he spend in college. He came out after we graduated. I could say that for sure, because we graduated 2011. He came out in 2012, but he might have done. I know he was at Wisconsin before, or North Carolina. They went or North Carolina State, Wisconsin. So he might be older than us, or he might be older than you and the same age as me. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I hate it. I don't like it. Like other aspects of life, I still feel young. But when I watch sports, I'm just like, I've been a grown man for as long as some of these people have been like able to talk, especially the NBA. They're like 18, 19 years old. It's like, Jesus.
I don't know what the NBA is because I haven't been watching NBA games since 1998.
Well, this is not basketball heads. This is football heads. So let's get into the picks. Football. Yeah. Let's start out with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 1-1, headed to New England to renew an old rivalry against the Patriots, also 1-1.
I'm going with Aaron Rodgers in this one. I'm going with the Steelers.
Interesting.
Last week, I said, you know what? It's the Steelers. They're gonna win. They lost. It's Geno Smith. He sometimes. I mean, no, he didn't face the Raiders, did he? Who did the Steelers face last week?
Seahawks.
Seahawks. So it's a fucking Seahawks. I mean, that's my problem. The Seahawks. You know how I always pick when I pick them to win, they lose, and when I pick them to lose, they win. It's a curse. I don't know why fucking Seahawks always do that shit to me, but it's annoying. But yeah, I'm picking the Steelers in this one. Aaron Rodgers, he had a really good game. He was making some passes that sometimes were dropped by the receivers or receivers were not there in time, but he had a good game, and I think that he's gonna be able to bounce back. I know the Patriots are in the rebuild form, new coach. They're trying to get their new quarterback to get settled in and to develop. But I feel like they still have a lot of work to do. And I predict this game to be a good, close game, but I think the Steelers are going to pull it out. Pull it off, I mean. Sorry, not pull it out. Pull out.
Well, the Steelers, again, we're still at that point in time where everything is a small sample size, but they're giving up over 30 points a game. And Drake May is playing good football.
Yeah, he is.
In New England. I feel like they got to get Travion Henderson going. He's had some issues in pass protection. They got him benched a little bit, but I still like Ramondre Stevenson. I feel like the receivers are playing pretty solid ball. Drake May looks good, looks confident. And Aaron Rodgers, it's another weird case of like you look at the numbers versus it's like the games where the numbers look bad. I feel like he's playing better than the numbers say, but then the games where the numbers look good, I don't think he's playing as good as the numbers say. I'm picking the Patriots. I like Mike Vrabel here. I like what he's building. This could be a good litmus test, I think, for both of these teams. So the
You like
Steelers,
that 40-yard dash that he ran last week?
oh yeah,
All right.
just
So
the only thing that would have made it better is he just had a cigarette in his mouth while he was doing it. But
and a cowboy hat on.
yeah, but
Well,
the Steelers. This is a game that, like, if you're gonna be a 10+ win team and you're gonna make the playoffs and you're gonna win a playoff game for the first time in what, like 8 years, you got to beat the Patriots. The Patriots are up and coming, but they're not there yet, and you get them
yeah,
early in the
they're
season.
not contenders.
Whereas if the Patriots are gonna take maybe not a meteoric rise, but a big bump up this year with Vrabel, Drake May kind of settling in more. Garrett Bradbury, much to my dismay, is apparently playing good football, which, I mean, he was always solid for us, but he would just get thrown around. And apparently he's not getting thrown around now. I'm picking the Patriots.
See, you've been keeping track of this all week. I haven't been able to keep track as I have some. I've been very busy at work. Are there any key injuries in any of these teams?
Key injuries.
Because there's a
not been
lot of
keeping
injuries. There's a lot of people out this week. A lot.
Oh, yeah. Here's the injury report. Joey Porter Jr. is out for the Steelers.
All right.
So that's not insignificant. He's probably their best corner. Christian Gonzalez is out for the Patriots. So DK Metcalf, he might have his way.
Yeah.
There's a handful of other injuries. Nobody like outstanding though. But those are probably the two biggest. Is both teams' top corner is out. So again, the Steelers are giving up over 30 points a game. Drake May's playing efficient ball. This could be, if you're a betting man, maybe take the over.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say. Patriots Steelers historically, like the last 20 years, when would you ever take the over? But here we are. It's a new era.
Yep. All right, so you picked the Patriots. I picked the Steelers. We'll see what happens later today. I have faith in the bad man.
He is a bad man.
He's a bad 41.
Not as bad as he used to be, but. All right, next up we got the Indianapolis Colts, 2-0. Headed to Tennessee to take on the 0-2 Tennessee Titans. Who you got?
Of course, I got Indiana Jones or Indiana Dimes or whatever you want to call him, just to avoid trademark issues. I've got the
Danny
Colts.
Diamonds, they're calling him now. I like Diamonds? Indiana Jones, though.
Indiana Jones is a better nickname, though.
Oh, yeah.
I got the Colts. They might be the most interesting team to watch at this point in the season. You know, we're in week 3, and like we're just interested in just watching him develop with the Colts. They're playing good. They had a good game last week. Another one of those games where like he's putting great numbers in the stats, even though I don't care about the stats. But he's doing good and he's winning games, and that's what matters. They had a good game last week, and then facing the Titans, who are also still might be one of the worst run organizations in the NFL. So I don't have any doubts in my mind that he's going to be able to pull this off, and the Colts are going to be walking out with victory in Tennessee.
All right, let me throw some stats at you. The Colts are 2-0. They have not punted once in 2 games.
Yes.
However, they rank 30th in defensive pressures and 25th in sacks. And Cam Ward, he's been going up against some good defenses. He's been running for his life. Can Cam Ward get into a rhythm against the Colts defense that has forced turnovers, but they're not getting a ton of pressures, not getting a ton of sacks? Can Cam Ward get into a rhythm and maybe see what he's all about against a team that's not forcing him to run for his life. Even though I like Pete, like the Titans have invested heavily in the offensive line the last few years, and for whatever reason, it's not fully panning out. But I will also say, my boy, the planet-sized mutant, Tavondre Sweat, is out. He's on IR, I believe. He'll miss at least the next 4 games. So I'm expecting Big John Taylor, Jonathan Taylor. He might have a monster game. I considered betting the over for his rushing yards, but his over-under was 90.5 because Vegas is expecting a big game.
Yeah.
But if you're not betting, he might go off on the ground. I don't. I want to pick the Titans here.
Why?
I do. Because I can't see Daniel Jones, Indianapolis Colts being 3-0, and for some reason, I still like, even though the Titans boned me last year, I said they were going to make the playoffs and they had the worst record in the league.
We miss you, Will.
I'm taking the Colts. I'm not going to go there yet. I don't want to go insane, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Titans. It's a divisional game. You got to throw the records.
That's what I was
going to
say. Yes, it's the divisional games, one of those divisional games of the week. So anything can happen. I mean, you see the Giants and the Cowboys last week. We thought the Giants were done, and then they almost beat the Cowboys. Went to overtime. So divisional games are all, they're very complicated to analyze because we don't know that anything can happen.
If Tavondre Sweat was playing, I might pick the Titans because they're splits of when Sweat and Simmons are in and the yards per carry allowed versus when only one's on the field versus when neither are on the field. It's like night, dusk, and day, basically. Like, you want both those guys. If he was playing, I might do it, but I'm taking the Colts.
Listen, this might be Daniel Jones' last crusade. So he might be trying to hold it over to Minnesota, making sure that he gets the win, all right?
Oh, God. All right, here's another divisional matchup. Also in the AFC South, Houston Texans sitting at 0-2, headed to Duval to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I have zero faith in the Texans this season. Zero. Zero faith in that offensive line. Zero faith in that offense. Zero faith in that defense. Even though stats might say a little bit different when it comes to the defense. So I'm going with the Jaguars. I think, even though I think Trevor Lawrence does not respect his coach, I think they have something going. I think there's something working out for them. So we'll see if they're able to get it done. They're at home. I think the Jaguars are going to get this win.
I see. I would question if Liam Cohen should respect Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence just – and I was a huge Trevor Lawrence guy, him coming out for intangible reasons. I thought he was a great leader of men, but he too many turnovers. They should have beat the Bengals. I watched a lot of that game. They should have beat the Bengals, and he would turn the ball over. But the Texans are only scoring 14 points a game this year, which is terrible, and their offensive line is terrible. And I will rehash it and relitigate it because I saw someone, I don't remember who, it might have been one of these Muppets on ESPN's app, like Seth, I think it was Seth Walder, who's one of my many arch nemeses in the sports game, saying that, I think it's Nemesis, SES instead of SIS. I could be wrong, though. But him, Ben Solak, and who's the other guy that I can't stand? Bill Barnwell. Just awful. They're all terrible. Analytics nerds that don't – the type of people that say momentum isn't real. Get out of here. So I think it was Seth Walder who said, they identified their biggest weakness of – offensive line play last year, and they really attacked it in the offseason. Like, they traded their best offensive linemen and signed the 2 worst guards of the last 2. These are analytics people. You love analytics? PFF, their 2 worst rated guards over the last 2 years, Ed Ingram and Laken Tomlinson. That's who they go out and sign. That's their fix to their biggest problem. So I feel bad for CJ Stroud because he's a stud and he just has no time to throw. You're only scoring 14 points a game. You're not going to win. They have a great defense. But even with the best defense, you could have the 2000 Baltimore Ravens defense, and you ain't going to win too many games scoring 14 points a game.
Exactly.
However, the Jags, they got to get Brian Thomas Jr. going. He's only got 5 catches for 60 yards in the first 2 games. But they've been moving the ball. They've been scoring points despite Trevor Lawrence turning the ball over in the red zone, looking like Geno Smith. They've been scoring a lot of points. The Texans defense can absolutely win this game for them, but until I see something from the offense, I got to go with the Jags here just so I can say Duval.
If you cannot protect your quarterback, if you can't keep that pocket, intact, you're not going to be able to have time to throw that ball and pass it correctly. As soon as that pocket collapses, not everybody has the same reflexes that other quarterbacks are great at. Patrick Mahomes was, past years, I don't know this year so much, but in the past, he has been able to, release that ball quickly and make some good short passes to make sure that he gets some yards. But not every quarterback has those instincts. Not every quarterback has those reflexes. As soon as the pocket collapses, it's not going to look good for the quarterback no matter what.
I mean, look at our 2 teams. Like the Vikings have a ton of injuries up front. JJ McCarthy's been running for his life, getting sacked all over the place, and they can't get anything going on offense despite Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones. And then the Eagles, AJ Brown's barely touched the ball. Smitty's barely touching the ball. Saquon hasn't really been lighting it up, but you have perfect protection up front, and Jalen Hurts can just sit back there and just pick his spots. And this is not an insult at all. Jalen Hurts is maybe the best game manager in football right now. Like, people can say what they want, that he's not putting up stats, but like, he is expertly managing these games, and they're winning.
He's protecting the ball.
The Dallas game was tight, but yeah, exactly. So, but he can do that because he has time because of the protection.
One of the best offensive lines, yeah.
No, that's the best.
I don't want to say the best because there's always room for argument, but one of the best. They got to
stop false starting on the tush push. We'll get to that, but it's best offensive line in football. It is what it is.
All right, what's next?
Next up, we got another divisional matchup, also in the South, NFC South. 1-1 Atlanta Falcons versus the 0-2 Carolina Panthers.
I'm picking the team where Jamie Foxx won and any given Sunday. I'm going with Michael Penix Jr. and the Falcons. He just looks every time I see him. I'm not saying this because it could be a racial thing. It could be
it's a do-rag.
Yeah, it's his look, the black uniform, the do-rag. His face, like he's focused. Like he just reminds me of Jamie Foxx on any given Sunday. I don't know why. So I think the Falcons they're getting in a rhythm where they're actually like understanding who they are as a team and what moves they need to make sure that they get the victories and then they continue to move and build and grow. I think they're doing that just right. I think Michael Penix Jr. is doing a great job as a starting quarterback. I think he's learning a lot, even though he's learning from someone that last season he didn't have a good season. I mean, injuries happen, so that can also affect the way a quarterback plays. But I think he's learning a lot and he's adapting very well to the NFL. I got the Falcons over the Panthers, who I believe I don't want to keep seeing Bryce Young getting attacked because their offensive line is not, protecting him properly either. It's one of those problems where the offense just gets affected because the offensive line is not able to protect the quarterback as well. Last week he got sacked how many times against Arizona?
That's a great question.
I know I saw him scramble a lot. Yeah, I saw him scramble a lot in the highlights of that game. I did not watch that game, unfortunately, but I did watch the highlights. And every single highlight, every single offensive highlight from the Panthers, he was just running for his life.
Let me see.
I know Josh got to him.
It's tough because, we talk about this every week. He was sacked 3 times.
See?
They had such a nice finish to the season last year. They almost beat the Eagles. They almost beat the Chiefs. And that usually when that happens, you carry that momentum into the next year, but there's just too many roster deficiencies. And the Falcons gashed the Vikings on the ground. The Vikings' top 2 run defense last year. Now you do swap out your top 3 run defenders for more pass rush on the interior. But They did a very nice job week 1 against the Bears against the run, and the Falcons ran the ball 39 times against the Vikings. The one time a team runs the ball, it's against my Vikings. It was beautiful to watch, but it was the most like heartbreaking thing when it, because they racked up 200 something yards, and it's like you're going to get 200 yards if you run the ball 39 times. You're going to wear the defense down. And the Panthers have one of the 8 worst run defenses in football. So I expect Bijan Robinson to go off. I expect Tyler Algier to go off. The one thing Carolina can hang their hat on, and I wouldn't even say hang their hat on, it's the thing they need to exploit, is the Falcons have not converted in the red zone. The Vikings held them to five field goals on their red zone trips, or I guess like some of them are right outside the red zone. But the only touchdown the Falcons scored in that game, the Vikings allowed them to score because either way it was going to be a 2-possession game, and the clock was more important at that time. And if you watch the play, like they just let up and let them run up the middle for a touchdown. So the Falcons need to start converting in the red zone because like they're getting pass rush, which has been an issue for 12 years now for the Falcons. They are starting to get some nice pass rush. Now, part of that is they weren't up against a third string left tackle, backup center who's never played center before. So we got to see it against better teams, but you're not going to beat good teams. You're not going to beat playoff teams if you can't convert in the red zone. But like you, I like Michael Penix Jr. They'll figure it out. And in the meantime, they're just going to pound the rock. And nothing bad is going to happen if you just run the ball constantly. So like Bijan is a beast.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're doubling down on your turnaround on Bijan then.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like down on him, but it was like he was talked about like he's like a top 3 to 5 guy. I'm like, he had like one really good season. Like, let's see him do it again, and then you watch him, and it's just like, okay, yeah.
I mean,
they were right.
It depends on the team. It depends on how the team is working around him. Remember, a running back is only as good as his offensive line. So, not just a running back, but quarterback as well. So if you're having issues with the team and the offense, you're not going to be able to run the ball as efficiently. Look at Saquon Barkley, the Giants. That offensive line is one of the best offensive lines, actually one of the worst offensive lines. So, of course, he's not going to have a great game with the Giants consistently. Put him with the Eagles, who I believe the best offensive line in the entire NFL. He's going to be making some numbers and getting 2,000 yards in a season. So it all depends on that. It all depends on the offensive line. It all depends on the holes that offensive line can make for him. So good for Bijan. I think the Falcons are doing some good work there, and I think that's gonna be it's gonna be good for them at the end of the season. I don't think they're contenders yet, but it's still early in the season. We'll see what happens. I still think the division is gonna be between them and Tampa Bay. It's gonna be tough. I think it's gonna be a battle for that top seed in the NFC South. I don't think it's going to be like Buccaneers are dominating like they have been in the past years. I think it's going to have to be a battle for that number 1 place in the division.
I mean, you got to remember the Falcons were 6-3 last year before they fell apart. So like, the Falcons I think are a lot closer to being a legit playoff team than a lot of people want to admit. But speaking of the Eagles, they play host to the 2-0 Los Angeles Rams. Rematch of last year's divisional round matchup. Rams Eagles. What happened in that game? It snowed and the Eagles won, but the Rams were right there. Of every team the Eagles played in the playoffs, the Rams were the only team that gave them a run for their money, and it was very close.
Yeah, thank God for Jalen Carter making that beautiful sack where he got picked up Matthew Stafford like he was a bag of potatoes. Of course, I'm going to pick my Eagles. I'm not going to pick against them. Listen, offensively, we're not the best looking team. We're not the most fun watching team. Like we're not
gonna fire Sirianni. He's a bum.
I'm not gonna make the same mistake I made last year where I was like crying, like, "Oh my God, Sirianni sucks. We need a new offensive coordinator." This guy is new as well. He was a pass. The most ironic thing is that he was a passing coach, and we're not getting a lot of play where like there's a lot of explosive plays with passing yards and stuff like that. So it's an interesting thing. Are there things that we need to improve as a team? Yes. Offensively speaking. I think the defense did a really good well last week. against Kansas City. I think Kansas City should be ashamed of they were like gloating about being the team that held the Eagles down to the least amount of points in like 6 years or something like that. I'm like, dude, you lost. Like, stop. Don't be a Chris Jones. Don't be crying out and like, come on. Um, but defensively, Makuba had a game. He had a really good game. Had some
I
great,
told you about that boy
yeah.
Andrew Makuba.
He had some great tackles. He had that pick that Kelsey wobbled and got off his hands.
Mokuba.
It was a good game.
Yu-Gi-Oh fans
I
out there.
still think Adoree Jackson has a lot of work to do. I'm not convinced on him yet. So we'll see what kind of adjustments Vic Fangio makes this week for the defense. Offensively, like we talked a couple of minutes ago, Jalen Hurts is protecting the ball. And that to me is more important. If you win the turnover battle, there's going to be a bigger chance of you actually winning the game. If you win the turnover battle, you're going to have a higher percent of chance of winning the game. So protect the ball. Who cares if you're not passing for 300 yards in the game like Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? You remember the numbers Joe Burrow was making last season, where he was getting some amazing stats, but he was losing the games because the defense wasn't doing their job. So who cares about the stats? Individual stats don't matter. I always say this a lot. Individual stats are only important for the players and for the team to establish how much the player is worth. That's it. You don't like, oh, you want to bet? I don't care about the betting world. I do not bet on these games. Some people do. I'm not saying they shouldn't. It's fun. It's their money. It's a way
Bet
to entertain
responsibly,
yourself.
folks.
Yes, it's a way to entertain yourself, and that's fine. I'm not going to complain about that because that's not the point of my argument. My point of the argument is that stats are not as important as wins and losses. Win the game. Chris Jones was crying. He didn't even get 100 yards. He had 101 just in case. And Jalen Hurts won too. Like, you won the fucking game. Chill out with that shit. Chill out
That's
with that
someone
shit.
that hasn't lost in a long time. That he's just like, yeah, well, we lost, but you didn't even get 100 yards.
Like, come on, you haven't won. You've lost your 3 last games. You've lost all three. Like, stop crying. Stop getting yourself on hot mic saying they run the same plan 7 times. Blah, blah, blah. Like, come on, Chris. Like,
Stop
be a
it.
man. Just stop. Get some help.
No, I mean stop the play. If they run the same, it's like in wrestling. Like if you do a move, you catch them off guard. Then if you go back to the move, the opponent has it scouted and it doesn't work again. You can't spam the same move.
It's
the same thing. But in football, if they can't stop it, they can't stop it.
That's it. Since we're in the topic, the push now is getting all this attention because the Eagles were offsides. But at the same time, the fucking the D line of the Chiefs, if you look at the pictures, they were also, encroaching. They also on top of the ball instead of behind the ball. Like it's a whole mess of a situation that's going on right now. Yes, the Eagles should figure that out. They should not be offsides. They should not be false starting. They should be just making sure that play continues to be as efficient. Oh, now it's impossible to officiate. Now, even though it has been being officiated since 2023 when they started doing it. Like, come on.
I want to do a separate episode on this because I firmly believe the tush push should be banned, and it has nothing to do with the Eagles. And the Eagles should spam it at every opportunity until it is banned. But I hate Dean Blandino, but when he came on there, he's like, guys, I'm done with the tush push, and here's why. He went on Rich Eisen's show and he talked about it, and he made all the points I've been saying for like 2 years. And again, if you're the Eagles and you do it way better than everyone else, and it's a cheat code that isn't cheating, do it. And if you false start, again, like to me, people talk about cheating, like when the Patriots were cheating all the time. If you hold someone, it's cheating. If you false start, that's cheating. But you get penalized for it immediately.
Yeah.
If you're false starting on the tush push, if you're the ref's got to call it. It. It's not. It becomes impossible to officiate from it becomes a scrum, and you can't see where the ball is to review it and things like that. So
which
and
is bullshit,
to even see where to spot it.
We all know that Jalen Hurts scored that first time when they actually push him and say, no, he's not in. Like, we see the replay. The ball's right there. His knees are not down. His legs are still, firm on the ground. He's just extending, and the ball's over the line. That's a touchdown. That's a score. So it wasn't that difficult. I understand your point. So I'm sorry for interrupting you. But
Sometimes it is, sometimes, but
yeah,
the problem is it's easier to see on the goal line because there's more cameras there. But it just there's just too many issues with. My biggest issue is
you
it's
appreciate it.
illegal if you throw a screen pass and you have a 330-pound lineman who's running downfield to block, and you're a 180-pound defensive back, you cannot dive at the knees or below to cut that offensive lineman. If you're a defensive lineman, you're not allowed to. You can't. You used to be able to, but you can't dive at the offensive lineman's knees to cut him. You're like nobody is allowed to dive at the knees or below. If you're trying to tackle a receiver, you can't dive at the knees or below. But the nature of the tush push is the entire offensive line just gets down and dives at the knees of the defensive lineman, and the defensive lineman can't do it in
You can't
return
do
on
it
like a
again.
field goal blocking. So they're not allowed to push defenders from behind. It's like it's a competitive disadvantage, not from whoever's playing the Eagles. It's a competitive disadvantage for whoever the defense is playing the offense that's employing the tush push. That's my biggest problem with it. And then like you could see the false starts. Like that's on the refs. Like it's not a scrum until the play happens. You can see the false start. Like you could see it on any other type of play. Like again, I'm not blaming the Eagles for it. Like if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And like the nature of the play is you got to get that jump. And sometimes you mistime it and you're a little bit early. And it's like
Yeah,
if
it
they
should
don't
be it
call
should
it,
be a
then
false start. If they don't call it, they don't call it. Like I believe I'm not sure what game it was recently. It might have been the Bills Dolphins game. I think the Dolphins were moving to the right of the field, and the Bills were like defending all the way to the right. And the one the maybe an edge, I don't know which player it was. He was on the line, but he was legit encroaching. Like he was on top. They didn't call it, and then before the Dolphins snapped the ball, he was already running towards the quarterback. So it was encroaching and a false start, and neither like official threw a flag in. So it's like
refs suck. They
the
suck at their
refs need to
jobs.
do better. They need to be better at their job, and that's understandable. I don't want the Eagles to run the play with false starts and with excuse me and with fuck what's it called and being offside. Sorry, I don't want the Eagles to do that play like that. I want them to do it correctly, and I want it to continue to be unstoppable, even though it's not unstoppable because there have been teams that have been able to stop it before. Buccaneers have stopped it before. I think the Chiefs stopped it once, and then Chris Jones got a neck injury. So I'm gonna talk shit about Chris Jones for the rest of my life because he's a crybaby. Such a big
He
ass
didn't even get
man.
100 yards.
They run the same fucking play 7 fucking times. Like, come on, man, be a man. Stop.
Crybaby Jones.
So the officiating just needs to be better. The Eagles need to, figure those things out and make sure they are not offsides, make sure they're not false starting to get the play done. Like you said, it's legal until it's not. While
Yeah.
it's legal, just run it, just go with it. If it helps you win the game, do it. It doesn't matter. Now, back to the game against the Rams. The Rams have been one of the toughest opponents the Eagles have been facing for the past couple of times they've faced each other. We have won the Eagles. I shouldn't say we because I don't play car passing by. Sorry. Um, the Eagles have won all the last 3 times that the Rams have faced them, and I believe that the Rams and the Eagles know each other very well. I think the Rams defense knows the offense really well, but I also think our team knows them really well. So it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be tough, ugly football, and I can't wait for it. So I'm picking the Eagles, obviously.
All right, here's some stats for you. In the 2 games they played last year, Saquon Barkley had 460 yards rushing.
Run the ball.
I'll say it again. In 2 games, Saquon Barkley had 460 yards rushing. Conversely, the Rams have not run the ball well with Kyren Williams this year. However, they've been passing the ball very well. Puka Nacua is averaging over 10 catches a game, over 100 yards a game. And then last week, Devontae Adams had 13 catches. That's a lie. 6 catches for 106 yards. I was looking at the targets. He had 13 targets. 6 catches, 106 yards, and a touchdown. So Obviously Stafford and Nakua, they got the connection, building a very quick connection with Devontae Adams. The way Stafford plays is similar in a lot of ways to Aaron Rodgers. So like the what's the word I'm looking for? I'll just say the connection between
Him and the Browns.
Stafford and Adams, the chemistry between him and Adams. It makes sense that it's developing quickly. You talked about Adoree Jackson. You've expressed how you miss Slay and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Makuba had an excellent game,
Yes.
but he is a rookie. So I think the key to victory for the Rams is to just attack the secondary. Just attack.
If they can.
And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But this is one of the few cases I would say maybe don't run the ball. But if you're the Eagles, if A.J. Brown needs to go read some literature on the sideline to keep himself centered, same thing. Just give the ball to Saquon Barkley, grind it out, beat the defense down. Don't let Jared Verse come in and potentially wreck the game doing Jared Verse things. So this is a case. If the Eagles shorten the game, run the rock, ball control, Jalen Hurts manage the game, which he's done an excellent job at. I talked about it earlier. And if I'm the Rams, it's just come in, just pew, 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 shots. Just attack.
This is going to be one of those games that's going to be decided in the trenches. I believe that the key to winning this game, besides the fact that, you know, the Eagles got to run the ball and the Rams had to pass the ball, I believe the defensive line of the Eagles is superior to the offensive line of the Rams. They're bigger.
Correct.
They're stronger.
I think that the Rams have an injury, like a key injury on their offensive line.
That's going to be tough for them to get over because last season, that playoff game, as you saw, that game was won by Jalen Carter. That game was won because Jalen Carter was able to put everything in there and make sure that he gets to Stafford. And they all did. And he got to him. And he sacked him. And he won the game because of that. So what the Rams should do is to try to work that out, make sure to protect Stafford at all times. But it's got to be hard. When you got guys like Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis who have lost weight and packed muscle, they're stronger and more agile. They're faster. So they got to work hard to make sure that Stafford doesn't get sacked and he's able to release the ball and attack through the air, as you said. So that's going to be tough for them to do. It's going to be an interesting game. Like I said, it's going to be an ugly game. So, yeah.
Yeah, I wish this wasn't at the same time as the Vikings game. I'd like to watch it. But let's move on. I feel like we've dedicated like 15 minutes to this game.
Sorry.
0-2 Jets versus the 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is Baker going to bake?
Of course. He's not. The Jets. Jets also have an injury quarterback position, right?
At the, you said quarter or cornerback?
Quarterback.
Yeah, Fields is out with a concussion. Yeah. Tyrod Taylor is in.
Yeah, Baker's going to bake. He's going to win this game. I have no. Listen, I've been saying the past couple of weeks that I think the Jets are finally found their quarterback and they're doing good, but they're cursed. And now the quarterback's concussed, so he's going to be out for that. So it sucks.
We cursed him. I texted you about this earlier in the week. I put out 4 clipped videos after week 1, and all 4 were about. Were they all? No, it was 3 quarterbacks and then Emeka Egbuka, and all 4 of those players got hurt. I think Egbuka is playing, but McCarthy is out, Fields is out, Egbuka's hurt, and Josh Allen got his nose busted and was gushing blood like Jey Uso at WrestlePalooza last night.
I haven't watched it yet.
I thought you didn't watch that match?
No, it started and I had to put Emma to sleep, but it's fine. I knew it was that match. I figured it was one of the Usos, so that's fine.
It was shocking. Like there was a point I was like, he was like, you know, you're like touching your head. This is not wrestleheads, but you're touching your head because you're bleeding, and like his both of his hands were fully red. I'm like, did he like cut an important artery? Is he bleeding out on live TV on ESPN Unlimited? But no, I think he was all right. I think he just busted his forehead.
Listen, I know the Buccaneers are gonna get this win. It's just a bad way for the Jets to start. They were getting some momentum, even though they were what's the record? They're 1-1, I believe.
2-0.
2-0. No, 0-2. That's what they are.
Oh, you're
They
talking
haven't
about the
won. They haven't
Jets.
won a
Yeah,
single
yeah.
game. But they look better. I got to be honest. What I've seen, I saw that first game against the Steelers. They look better. I didn't see last week, but I saw them highlights. They look good. They don't look bad. They don't look like a shitty
They
team.
looked bad against the Bills.
Well, it's the Bills. It's
Sure.
they're a contending team. They have Josh Allen. Of course, they're gonna lose, but they're not gonna look okay. When I say bad, I mean Dolphins against Colts bad. All right, that's what I mean. It wasn't that bad.
It was 30-3 at one point.
That's it because it's Josh Allen. I feel like there's some hope in that team for them to be better. I think that they're gonna be able to figure it out once Justin Fields is back. We'll see what happens, but I don't see them winning this game. Baker Mayfield has been killing it with like back to back winning drives. So good for him. Fuck the Buccaneers, but I'm picking them.
Yeah, the Bucks got a lot of injuries in the trenches. Kalijah Cansey's out for the year. One of their guards went down. Tristan Wirfs is still working back from the knee surgery.
Not gonna happen.
The Bucks have been playing with fire a little bit. They needed a miracle on Monday night last week. They needed a game-winning drive week 1. But they're at home, and
It's
the
still
Jets
hot.
just have
Still
not looked
humid.
good. Tyrod Taylor hasn't played in a couple years. I love Tyrod Taylor, but I need to see it more from the Jets. I could see them bouncing back. I like Aaron Glenn's mentality as a head coach, but this feels like a game that could be an upset, but I'm not betting against my boy Baker. That dude is just a dog. Bucks in a tighter game than some people might expect.
You know what's the secret to the Buccaneers' success? You know what's the secret to Baker Mayfield's intensity and game-winning drives?
Dog mentality.
No, it's a bucket of bath salts. I mean, smelling salts. Sorry. He is hyped up on smelling salts. You can see that. I remember that playoff game 2 years ago against the Eagles. He was walking down. I know I mention this every single time I talk about him, but it's just it blew my mind. He was walking down the aisle on the way to the field. He was just normal. I had smelling salt in his hand, and he just goes, rah! He just fucking transforms into the Hulk, and he just runs into the fucking field like, oh my god, we're losing this game, aren't we? And we did lose the game. It's the
We
smelling
got
salt. I
if
don't
the
know what they have
Bucks
something in that smell, so I'm pretty sure it's Florida. It could be cocaine. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say that that's what happens. There's no proof yet. I'm gonna do some digging, but I swear to God, they have something in those smelling salts. They're. I've never seen a man react that way to smelling salts in my life.
if
Ever.
if the Bucks beat the Eagles this year, you gotta rip a pack of smelling salts on the show.
Jesus Christ.
All right, let's move on. Raiders 1-1, Commanders 1-1, starting Marcus Mariota.
Do I gotta watch this game?
No, not
Listen,
if you don't want to.
I was excited for the Raiders, but Geno Smith, just like the Seahawks, which he was a part of, you pick them to win, they lose. You pick them to lose, they win. Geno Smith is so inconsistent where sometimes he remembers how to play football, he has one of a hell of a game. And then the next week he just decided that he doesn't know how to throw the football and he just starts throwing picks left and right. He had 6 picks?
3.
3. Well, the double, whatever I said. He just was throwing interceptions. He was not throwing passes correctly. What a horrible, horrible situation. I was gonna pick the Commanders, but since what's his face is not playing because of the injury, I'm picking the Raiders.
I'm also picking the Raiders. The Commanders got smoked by Tucker Kraft on Thursday last week for 124 yards. Brock Bowers is a better player than Tucker Kraft. Brock Bowers is going to go off. Marcus Mariota, he's a good backup, but He's not going to get it done. Pete Carroll's going to have the boys ready to go. I'm taking the Raiders.
Pete Carroll's gonna get the Raiders back into old school Raider form, or like just mean bully ass football.
All right, what do we got next? Green Bay Packers 2-0. Cleveland Browns 0-2.
I'm sorry to do this to you for 2 weeks in a row, Joe Flacco, but I'm picking the Packers. I'm sorry. Your team is not as good as you. I'm sorry to disappointing you. But yeah, Packers, shitty ass Packers, and the Cheeseheads are going to win this game. In Cleveland.
The Packers are going to win this game, and I'm picking the Packers. But here's how the Browns have a chance. Josh Jacobs has a couple touchdowns this year, but he's only averaging 3.6 yards per carry, and the Browns have the number one defense. Again, we cannot sleep on the Browns' defense. No matter how bad the Browns are, we have to remember the Browns have a great defense. And they've only allowed 92 rushing yards so far this year in 2 games. So stop the run, force Jordan Love, who has by a very wide margin the most yards per attempt in the league. He loves to throw the ball down the field. And again, thus far in his career, I know it's been like 200 and something passes since he's thrown an interception. So maybe this is, he's figuring something out, but he's been streaky. He's had, a couple years ago, he had that insane run to end the year into the playoffs, into their playoff run. But can you force some mistakes from Jordan Love trying to throw the ball down the field? You got Myles Garrett, get some heat on him, jump some routes, force some turnovers, stop the run. That's the only way that Cleveland can win this game.
Apply some pressure on Jordan Love. Make sure that you get to him, and that might be the key to victory.
Yeah.
And with that said, he might throw a pick just because you said he hasn't thrown a pick in like 200 games.
I mean, it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
All right, the last game of the early slate, the Cincinnati Bengals at a improbable 2-0 if you actually watched those football games. They should not be 2-0, but they are, against my 1-1 Minnesota Vikings, starting Carson Wentz against Jake Browning, the matchup we've all been waiting for.
First of all, I feel sorry for what happened in that game against the Falcons. Honestly, I thought JJ had it.
It was a high ankle sprain, dude. If there wasn't an illegal hip drop tackle that wasn't called, he would have hit that deep ball to Naylor and they would have won that game.
And he will still be with us right now.
Yes.
He hasn't passed away. He's just injured on the IR. Yeah, I hate the Bengals because they're such an interesting but boring team to watch, because you can see how their offense has this little glimpse of beautiful brilliance in football, but then their defense sucks. And then their offensive line does not protect their quarterback. And it's just like, what is this? What is this nonsense? I'm picking the Bengals for the mere fact that I don't think Carson Wentz has it anymore. And I feel bad for saying that because he got the Eagles to the playoffs. And he was a great player then. But since that injury, he hasn't been able to play the same. So I'm picking the Bengals just because of that. And I believe the backup quarterback for the Bengals is the guy that was cut by the Vikings. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's lore to that that digs into the dissolution of the relationship of Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman, where there is. This was during the COVID era, and they do an annual night practice and training camp for all the fans to come out, and Jake Browning took every snap for the first team offense, second team offense, and third team offense because Kirk Cousins and Kellen Mond and the immortal Nate Stanley all were banned from the building because of exposure to COVID.
Jesus.
And because none of them were vaccinated, and Mike Zimmer was not happy about it. But they doused Jake Browning in water because he just had a monster showing, and Mike Zimmer told Jake Browning, "You've won the backup quarterback job. You are our number 2 quarterback." And then Rick Spielman cut him because Rick Spielman drafted Kellen Mond, and Rick Spielman wanted Kellen Mond to be the backup quarterback, and so he cut Jake Browning. And then Jake Browning, despite the fact that all of those people were fired, decided 2 years ago that this is a revenge game. You never should have fucking cut me. But he did say this week he's over it. To him, this is not a revenge game. He got that out of his system a couple years ago. But I will say this: Jake Browning, the Bengals offense with Jake Browning looked more efficient than the Bengals offense with Joe Burrow.
76% passer rate or something like that.
Jake Browning is we'll see how the results go, but I would lean toward Jake Browning is probably going to get a chance to start somewhere next year. I don't think anyone's going to necessarily hand him the job, but the way Daniel Jones had to compete with Anthony Richardson, he's going to get a chance somewhere next year. He's a very efficient quarterback. He's tough. He avoids sacks a little bit better than Joe Burrow had. And this is not me taking shots at Joe Burrow, but on the flip side,
it's not Joe Burrow's fault. Let's just be honest. It's not Joe Burrow's fault that he gets
at a certain point. I'm starting to lean into Joe Burrow might be a little bit overrated territory. I'm not quite there yet, but everyone say, "Oh, JJ McCarthy, he's injury prone." Joe Burrow has missed significant time in 3 seasons thus far of his career, and this is his 6th season. Half the seasons of his career, he has suffered a major injury. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
At least it's not the season.
On the flip side, Carson Wentz, who I hate, and I hate watching, and I am so mad that not only do I have to watch Carson Wentz, but I have to watch him quarterback my team. But I will say this, growing up in the hills of the Dakotas, he grew up a Minnesota Vikings fan.
Yes.
And every once in a while, his parents would drive him across state lines, and they'd take him to a Vikings game. And he grew up rooting for the purple and gold. And now, in a surreal experience for the man who's bounced around the league, will become the first quarterback in NFL history to start a game for 6 teams in 6 years, finally now with the team of his youth, his childhood favorite, Minnesota Vikings. Can the veteran presence of Wentz stabilize the offense so we can get some rhythm going? Because thus far we have a league low 95 offensive plays in 2 games. 95 offensive plays in 2 games. It's not good enough. And it's not just JJ. It's the injuries on the offensive line. It's the play calling. It's a combination of factors. However, the reports are saying, the sources are saying Darrisaw is expected to play, which of course he is now that JJ McCarthy's hurt. Of course Christian Darrisaw is coming back after my guy gets fucking thrown to the wolves behind a 3rd-string left tackle and a backup center. Ryan Kelly's not back at center, so I still have concerns about the snapping operation because, again, Michael Juergens, I don't know why they think he's a center. I don't know why they were content with, because all through training camp you would hear oh yeah, the snaps are all over the place. There's fumbled, bobbled exchanges. There's snaps over people's heads. He's getting bulldozed by Javon Hargrave. That scares me. But Darrisaw is a game changer. People need to understand this. Vikings fans need to understand this. Just because it's not sexy does not mean it's not vitally important. Trent Williams with the 49ers. The 49ers over the last half decade have been a Super Bowl contending team consistently, other than last year when they suffered a bunch of injuries, which, by the way, included Trent Williams. When Trent Williams is out, they are an under 500 team with as much talent as they have. Left tackle, vitally important. So if Darrisaw is back, that's huge, especially with Trey Hendrickson, who is a stud. Shamar Stewart, their 1st-round draft pick, coming off the edge. He's out. He's injured. Their top corner, Cam Taylor-Britt, I believe is out. I think he's doubtful. So we'll see. Maybe he plays. So the Vikings should win this game. I say it every. The Vikings should. Aaron Jones is on IR with a hamstring, so he can't take all these carries away from Jordan Mason, the sledgehammer. Let Jordan Mason. Aaron Jones carries the football. Jordan Mason pounds the rock. You got to put the ball in Jordan Mason's hand and pound the rock. And then you got to let Carson Wentz go out there and sling this thing. We got to get Justin Jefferson involved. Again, JJ, it's his first couple starts. I did a video on my other channel. Shouts out the Purple Stuff podcast. It's tough. It's tough to adjust. The speed of the game, it's a totally different thing. It takes time to adjust. Carson Wentz has been doing this for a decade. He might suck, but he's been doing it for a decade. Carson Wentz doesn't suck. The problem is he goes full blue screen of death at random spots. That's really what you're worried. Like Carson Wentz can go throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. But he could also throw 3 interceptions and fumble the ball trying to like do some Patrick Mahomes matrix, like diving parallel horizontal to the ground, sidearm slinging shit. So we'll see. I mean, the Vikings got gashed on the ground last week against Bijan Robinson, but the Bengals have maybe the worst running offense in the league. I'm not 100% sure, but among the worst rushing offenses in football right now. I could see Samaje Perine coming off the bench and gashing the Vikings for reasons that don't make sense other than just this. It's the Vikings, so weird stuff happens. But all this talk, and we haven't talked about Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. That's another intriguing matchup. Obviously, they're good friends. They went to college together. The last time they matched up, T. Higgins outperformed both of them. The time before that, I think it was the same thing. Jamar has not gone off against the Vikings, so we'll see if that's the case. But the Vikings are getting a ton of pressure on the quarterback. The Bengals' offensive line is terrible. I think they can get pressure on Jake Browning, mitigate some of the potential deep balls to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, force them into some shorter stuff, which, don't get me wrong, they are still quite dangerous in short game and Jamar Chase turning short passes into long runs. It should be a good game. I believe it's a 3-point spread in favor of the Vikings at home. 3 points sounds about right either way. No matter who wins, as is customary, I will not pick this game, but the Vikings should win this game. They should. They should win. We got to get it done. We need the dub. Darisaw, I know you're watching. We need you out there, big man.
Listen.
We need you out there, big dog. I need you, baby. We need you, baby.
You've made some interesting points. You've put up some stuff into perspective. And with that, all that you have said, the Bengals are going to win this game.
You son of a bitch. Oh, God. All right, let's move on. We got the Denver Broncos at 1-1 headed to, I always want to say San Diego, Los Angeles, here in sunny Los Angeles to play the 2-0. I almost did it again. Los Angeles Chargers. Oh, God. Send them back to San Diego. San Diego Superchargers. You can't do that with LA. It just doesn't work. They should have brought the Raiders should be in LA. The Chargers should be in San Diego. And the Rams should be in St. Louis. Exactly.
Yeah. And the 49ers should be dead. I'm sorry. I got the Chargers. I think they have momentum. I think they're doing really well. They're their new head coach, second season. I think they have finally found the chemistry they needed with his quarterback. I think finally Mr. If, Mr. Maybe, Mr. We'll see, Mr. We'll see eventually has actually decided to, ball out and doing a good job. So I'm picking the Chargers over the Broncos.
Is there trouble in paradise with Sean Payton and Bo Nix? I was talking to one of my sources yesterday who told me that there's some issues on the sideline. They're screaming at each other on the sideline. It's a road game. Everyone makes fun of the Chargers don't have any fans, and Denver's a short flight away. But Bo Nix has 3 picks this season. All of them are against zone defense. The Chargers run zone 66% of the time. Derwin James is going to make a monster play in this game. Justin Herbert is going to sling the rock all over the place, and they're going to find a way to get Omari and Hampton involved. The Chargers are going to control the clock, and the Chargers will win this game.
Yeah, definitely. I don't have any doubts in my mind, even though I believe they They still have some stuff to figure out defensively. I think they're doing a good job. I think they're definitely a contender so far this season. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how they continue to grow. The Broncos have a lot of work to do. So I'm picking the Chargers. I think they have more pieces of the puzzle put together than the Broncos. So they're definitely going to get the win over them in LA, in that horrible cesspool of a city that you live in.
All right, next up we got the 0-2 Saints, 1-1 Seahawks. We are now in the lightning round as we are less than 40 minutes away from
Yep.
kickoff. Saints, Seahawks, who you got?
Seahawks. I'm picking the Seahawks. No question about it. Saints, Kellen Moore does not have the magic touch for them as they are not a complete team. Seahawks all the way.
Seahawks defense playing very good football. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I believe, while we were recording, I got an alert that he is playing.
Good.
And he has a chance to have 100 yards in his first 3 games, first time in Seahawks history for a receiver to have 300 yards first game, or 100 yards in each of the first 3 games of the season. This is the only game I have no notes on because it doesn't matter because the Seahawks are going to beat the Saints.
Yeah.
It's that simple. All right, next up, a sneaky good matchup here. 2-0 Arizona Cardinals, 2-0 San Francisco 49ers. How about them 49ers?
The injuries are going to be the key factor to this game. I'm picking the Cardinals. I don't think the 49ers are going to be able to play as well as they do without Brock Purdy.
The Cardinals need to get Marvin Harrison Jr. going. He has less than 100 yards total through 2 games. I do not trust the Ewok even still. Thus far, I know, explosive shots. They want to do all that fun stuff. They have not played a tough schedule. Mac Jones season, baby. I was walking to the store. It was maybe like 3 in the afternoon out here last weekend, and I saw a guy wearing a jersey from like a block away. I'm like, what jersey is that? I can't tell. I get up there. It's a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey, but he had some masking tape over Garoppolo and wrote Jones. And I said, hey, he balled out today. He says, yes, he did. Mac Jones is here to stay. Remember, the 49ers traded up, not for Trey Lance, for Mac Jones, and then they convinced themselves that they wanted Trey Lance, but they finally got the guy. They got Mac Jones in there. Mac Jones season, 49ers dub.
Mac Jones is going to get sacked by Josh Sweat at least 3 times. That's it. Shout out to my boy, Josh Sweat.
I don't know if Josh Sweat has it outside of Philly, man.
Nah, man.
If he's got it.
He was doing a good job last week.
All right, next up we got the last of the afternoon slate, America's team.
Ugh.
The Gambler and his Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Headed up to Chicago to take on the 0-2 Chicago Bears.
Call the Cowboys to the Rust Belt because they're about to go bear hunting. They're definitely going to win this game against the Bears. Their defense, no matter what people say, even though they traded out Micah Parsons, I think can do a lot and can put a lot of pressure to that offensive line that the Bears have that is not as strong as it should be, and definitely get to put some pressure on Caleb Williams. We're going to see Caleb Williams scramble a lot. We're going to see him throw picks. We're going to see him throw balls away. He's not going to be able to get that much going offensively. I'm picking the Cowboys, no doubt.
Cowboys are a top 5 team in pressure rate, top 6 team in total pressures, and where are they at in sacks? It's kind of a jumbled mess, honestly, with total sacks thus far. But despite moving on from Parsons, they are pressuring the quarterback. However, I can see this game being a shootout because their secondary is not playing well. Donovan Wilson was getting exposed. It's one of those cases where their personnel is still very much built around the Dan Quinn defense, and there were some issues with the Mike Zimmer defense last year because he didn't have the personnel that he wanted. They got Eberflus this year, so there's still some pieces that, even though they're nice pieces, they might not be the right pieces for this particular defense. However, this is an Eberflus revenge game going up against Chicago, who fired him, and rightfully so, because he was an absolute bum as a head coach. But I can see this being a shootout, and we got to give some flowers to Dak Prescott, who is playing excellent football. And let's not forget, they had the number 1 offense in the league 2 years ago, and he was injured most of last year with the torn hamstring. Dak
Well,
in the
former
regular
MVP.
season, Dak is a dog. He's completing 75% of his passes on third down, but I'm picking the Chicago Bears.
Oh,
They're going to win at some point. It's got to happen.
interesting.
I'm going with the Chicago Bears. They're at home. The defense is not playing well. Ben Johnson, if they don't win this game, if they don't win one of their next two games, Ben Johnson might go full Michael Douglas and falling down.
I need Caleb Williams to get mean. He's too like when you look at him, I don't see him focused and confident in his abilities or his
He's
team.
zesty, baby.
He
He's not
just
mean.
looks
He's
like he's
zesty.
lost. He looks like he's confused. He looks like he's sad. He looks like a Care Bear instead of an actual grizzly bear. Like he
He's
does
got some
not.
Carl Anthony Towns to him.
I
Like
don't care. He just looks like a little bitch. He needs to get me. And
that's my point.
This has nothing to do. This has nothing to do with the fact that he paints his nails or whatever his weird past in the college and USC was. Like that has nothing to do with it. He just looks like a bitch. He looks like he's not tough. He looks like he can get his ass kicked in a fight 1-on-1 against a school child. He does not look mean.
You
Get
hear that,
some
Caleb?
grit in your fucking teeth, Caleb.
He
Come
said you're
on.
soft, Caleb. He said you're soft. You
You're-
got to go out there and get this done for your boy. Even though I'm rooting for the Cowboys, because I like the Cowboys and hate the Bears. But
Right, what's next?
when I think of Caleb Williams, I think of Carl Anthony Towns when he thinks he gets fouled in the paint and he goes, "Oh my god!" That's what I think of. That's what I think of when I look at Caleb.
Like he
All right,
gets
next up
sacked
we
and
got-
he just goes like, "Ow!"
It's like the Patrick Mahomes, the way he like saunters to the huddle, like that's Caleb Williams. But Patrick Mahomes is a tough guy. Like he plays through the high ankle sprains. He looks funny when he
Allegedly.
like saunters into the huddle.
Alleged high ankle sprains that he's always
Okay,
gets in the
all right.
postseason.
Yeah. It was like 3 years in a row. It's like, oh, it's time for the playoffs. We got to generate some fucking high ankle sprain for this guy. All right, Sunday night football. We got
Speaking of,
the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes at 0-2 for the first time in over a decade, I think, for the Chiefs, headed to take on the 0-2 New Jersey Giants.
in the worst stadium in the entire league, at least the worst turf, probably.
That and Soldier Field. It's a toss-up, but they're both just dreadful. Chiefs, Giants, who you got?
Talk about a segue. That was a great segue from Patrick Mahomes sauntering to the fucking O-line to actually talking about this game. Listen, you said that you think the Cowboys and Bears game is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be the shootout. I think we're going to have, for the first time ever, a close game where you think, are the Giants going to beat the Chiefs? Is Russell Wilson going to beat the Chiefs? I almost picked Russell Wilson to win because he had a great game against the Cowboys last week in Jerry World, away. So I think this is going to be a close game. I think this is going to be a surprise, but the Chiefs are going to get out of MetLife with a win.
The Kansas City Chiefs have allowed the 7th most pressures. The Giants, as I scream from the rooftops, have a disgusting defensive front. That could be the key. You got Sexy Dex. You got Brian Burns. You got Kayvon Thibodeau. You got Abdul the Butcher. They got to get after Patrick Mahomes, make things uncomfortable, force mistakes. And whether or not Tyrone Tracy has 100 yards or not, we need Chris Jones whining and complaining about something. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. I refer to the great state of New Jersey as God's country. So all I'm going to say is God country. Let's ride. Russell Wilson, he's turning back the clock. He's throwing moon balls all over the place. Russ is going to get it done. Giants, they're going to get it done.
And the Chiefs are going to start 0-3, 0-3.
0-4 because they got to play Baltimore next week, and that ain't going to go well.
Well, I mean, we all know what happened last time they faced, and you know how they won that last game they faced against each other. So we'll see. That's interesting. That's an interesting pick. So I'm excited. And now I can't wait for Sunday Night Football because if that happens, I mean, New Jersey is definitely the Garden State where everything good happens. Yeah. Uh,
All right,
we'll see
last
what
up,
happens.
Monday Night Football,
Speaking of the Ravens,
Detroit Lions versus the Baltimore Ravens. The matchup of the weekend for sure. Who you got?
listen, I was gonna pick the Ravens just out of a limb because the Ravens are so far they look more dominant, they look better. The Lions, they started off really, really bad in the first week, but last week they went back to putting up 51 points, but it wasn't against one of the tough teams and the toughest teams in the NFL. So, do I think the Lions still have a shot to make it to the playoffs? Yeah, maybe, but it's going to be tough this year. It's going to be way tougher than last year. But I'm picking the Ravens this year. I think at this game, I think the Ravens have more offensive weapons. I think they have what it takes to continue to dominate and continue to build up and still be a contending team over the Lions.
Lamar Jackson is 24-2 against the NFC in his career. Terrion Arnold has allowed the most yards per snap of any boundary corner in football, which means we could have a big passing day for Lamar Jackson.
Sorry to interrupt.
However,
But how many of those losses, those two losses, can you name me one of the losses they have in the NFC?
I assume it's probably the Eagles.
Yeah, that's why I'm fucking around. Just go ahead. Sorry.
However, the Baltimore Ravens embarrassed the Detroit Lions 38-6 in 2023 when the Lions were a 12-win football team. And Dan Campbell made comments about this, that losses like that stick with you. Dan Campbell's going to have the boys ready to rock and roll. I'm taking the Detroit Lions to set up Baltimore to have to bounce back next week against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a toss-up. Nothing would surprise me in this game other than if one of these teams got blown out, that would surprise me. But
I don't think it's going to be that way.
I'm taking Detroit.
That's fine. It's a fair argument that you put there. And the Ravens do love to bounce back after they lose. So that's an interesting point that you make. I don't think they lose on purpose just to bounce back against the Chiefs and get some revenge after that game from last season's opener. But definitely, it's a very good argument that you put in with the Lions. I think the Lions, like I said, I think they're still a contending team. They have issues that they have to work with. They had some big issues in the injury with injuries last season, and I think they're still suffering from some of those injuries. I don't think they're up to 100% yet. But I think the Ravens are going to win this game. They're at home. They're roughly healthy. I don't think there's any key injuries that are going to be affecting them too much. So I picked the Ravens. I think there's going to be a good Monday night game, which is great because last time we watched Monday Night Football, it wasn't that much of a good game. Sorry, Kyle. Oh, no, sorry. You didn't play Monday Night Football. You played Sunday Night Football last week. Yeah. Monday Night Football last week was just the Buccaneers and the Falcons? No, the Texans getting their ass kicked. So I'm picking the Ravens. I think it's going to be one of those exciting games. We're going to see a lot of points being scored on the ground, over the air. I think it's going to be one of those interesting, final boss fights where like both guys are just like their peak of their dominance, and we'll see what happens.
All right, those are the picks. Do you have any other non-pick predictions for us?
Well, I already said one. Joshua is going to sack the shit out of Mac Jones in this Cardinals 49ers game. Russell Wilson is going to have another one of those games where he just throws for over 200 yards. And I believe the Eagles are going to win this game by one score. One score.
Interesting. Game. Yeah, that should be a good game. Again, I'm mad it's at the same time. I'm so used to the Vikings playing in prime time when I get to watch all these other games.
Yeah.
But now I can make use of the condensed games and watch them after the fact. But those are the picks.
6 divisional games, just in case. We already mentioned them. We already had one TNF, and but the Bills beat the Dolphins, so they're always great games. Only 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the 1 p.m. slate. So, keep an eye on those. Those are the most important games in the season, to me at least. So, yeah, those are the picks. My football picks, my NOOB football picks. I hope you guys enjoy it, as always.
Those are the picks. We got to run because the games are coming up here pretty soon.
The
God bless
the
football.
Grinch.
Oh, yeah.
The wings are not in the grill. They're not in the oven. I have no wings. I do have some crispy tenders. I should make those in the air fryer right now. But the beers are in the fridge, and that's the most important part.
God bless football.
See ya.
No go birds? All right.
Go Birds!
Skull Vikes.
Football